You've had double-digit returns on ad spend for your client. That's
Yeah.
not a normal. That's crazy. How are you doing that?
So a lot of testing and optimization. So I was going to say we have been lucky, but it's not luck. It is definitely testing and optimizing of campaigns. So if you are testing the audiences, the creative, the graphics, copy, headlines, call to action buttons, you aren't going to be able to bring that cost per acquisition, or so the cost per lead or sale down, and you aren't going to be able to drive that return on ad spend up. So it's really important that you're testing all different facets of the ad to get those kind of results.
Nicki, what do you do?
So actually, we just rebranded to the Digital Exchange, and we help brands grow and scale using SEO and paid ads. So Facebook ads and Google ads. And we teach people how to do their own SEO, but we implement, and we also teach Facebook ads, but we only manage Facebook ads and Google ads now. We used to do the SEO as well, but we find people like to do their own SEO and then get us to manage or teach them how to do it.
Gotcha. So niche down on what's working and what you're good at. You go from there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we really enjoy doing the paid ads component, but it's also where people want to outsource. So we combine those, like with that combined knowledge, we thought it makes sense to spend our time managing those kind of things. And for the areas where people want to implement it themselves, but need some guidance through our programs, then we just have implemented our programs for that.
Building the customer journey essentially as they go through that.
Exactly.
What's that like? What's a customer journey like? Like when you take on somebody, like a new client, and I know of course, it's going to be different for everybody, but a new client, what are the first things you're looking for, like optimization?
So essentially when a business first starts, most people always want to jump straight into paid ads, but paid ads are a scaling tool and they won't work if you're just starting out generally because you haven't validated what you're doing and you're basically just going to be pouring money into something that hasn't been proven. So what we do is we encourage users to implement things that are going to bring them traffic organically, like search engine optimization to get your ranking in Google, doing things like email marketing, obviously social media. Everyone's on social media. You have an online presence. It doesn't really drive much traffic to your website and it doesn't really translate into sales, but brands do like to have that online presence. So it's important to start with those free organic things first, particularly search engine optimization, because that's what's really going to move the needle in bringing free traffic to your website. So we encourage people to do that. Once they're getting conversions and their website's at a conversion rate of about 2%. So that's for every 100 people that visit your website, at least 2 buy. That's the average. That's when we can start saying, all right, you're now ready for paid advertising. So until you have that validated, we don't recommend that because essentially you're just pouring money into a leaky bucket and it's just going to come out the bottom and you're not going to make any money from it. So you're going to waste more money than you're spending, particularly if there is management fees involved because you're going to be paying for those, but not seeing the return on investment.
What are those little things you're looking for? What builds that foundation up that you're looking for in somebody before you're turning those on?
So obviously you want to have a decent amount of traffic to your website. So you want to have at least 1,000 visitors come through your website doors so that we can see that the website is converting. We definitely would want more than that, but some people just want to get started and you can't convince them. But you want to have at least 1,000 people coming through and getting that conversion rate at 2%. Now there's lots of things that you can do to increase that conversion rate. So there's things like making sure your website's speed is fast, because if it's not, people don't want to hang around, they get frustrated, bounce out to your competitors. You want to do things like the 3-second test where if someone lands on your website and doesn't scroll at all on your homepage, within 3 seconds, they can tell exactly what you do and who you do it for. So if I land on your website, I want to be able to tell that straight away without moving or scrolling the mouse at all from your homepage. You want to have different cost factors like reviews and testimonials because they're really important right now. You want to have payment icons, different ways that people can pay. You want to have a good site navigation so it's easy for people to find their way around your website and get to their final destination from the homepage within 3 clicks. You want to, or at least to a checkout page and be ready, because the checkout process is another 3 clicks, really. You want to, what was the other thing? I was just thinking another thing is other trust factors are things like having policies like refund policies or return policies so people can guarantee that If there's something wrong with your product and they don't quite know you, then they have an option to return the product. And if your product's awesome, you don't need to worry about those policies because people won't be utilizing them. Shipping policies, privacy policies, terms and conditions, all of these kind of different factors are what's going to help bring your conversion rate up so that you are selling more. So the more, it doesn't matter how much traffic you're getting to your website, you want to be converting, you want lots of traffic coming, but you want as much of that traffic as possible to be converting at the same time. So even though you're getting a lot of traffic, if you can convert more people, you're going to make more money from both. You're going to make more money because you're getting a lot of traffic, but you're going to make more money too because you're getting more people converted that are visiting. So it's really important to capture that low hanging fruit. If they're there, why not try and make money from them? And on top of that, increasing your average order value through bundling and different things, promotions to try and increase that spend as well.
Touching base on that last little part, like bundling and stuff, typically our clients coming in, they don't usually do that kind of stuff. They're probably right. That's a question.
Yeah. So do you mean, so some people might not bundle. So it's great if you can bundle. So there's a product that's just come out, like a sunscreen brand that's just come out in Australia actually, and they're incredible at doing this. And I could not decide which bundle to buy the other day. I thought I wanted one product and then I ended up spending a lot more just on sunscreen. Like it's insane. Because it's like this cool brand where it goes on the top of makeup and it doesn't ruin your makeup. So it's just quite revolutionary. So they've got all these different bundle deals and they've put together all their top selling products and it's worked really well. But if you don't bundle or you don't want to bundle, some of the other things that you could do is offer like cross sells or upsells. For example, if we had a jewelry brand and we wanted to sell jewelry and someone bought earrings, you could upsell some maybe cleaning products or a jewelry box, for example, or if you were a training program like I offer and we were selling something like an SEO program, which we do, we could upsell and offer, say, a website template or something like that, or something that would relate that isn't part of the program, but we know that they could get more value out of it. So anything like that is going to help you sell more from the same person that's coming. So you don't actually have to spend more to get them through the door. They're already at your doors, but you're going to make more money from them. And then if you can do that for as many clients as you can, or customers as you can that come through the doors, you're going to increase your revenue overall throughout the year.
Is this mostly, are you mostly on, what is that, direct to consumer?
Yeah, so that's for direct to consumer. For businesses, so for B2B, you could definitely do bundles as well. So you could bundle together programs if you have them, if you're selling those kind of things, or different services, or you could upsell them to other services. So we have people that might come to us and say, oh, hey, I want to do a workshop. But we would say, we actually think that you would be better off doing our one-to-one training. And we set up one of the campaigns for you because that's going to be better for XYZ reasons. So generally, you could just move them up to different levels or different tiers if you are B2B.
Okay. I've seen that. And then, what is it? The lead magnet, I would say, where you're giving a little bit at the beginning to get them in, but you've already got them in because you're talking about they're on your site, they're looking, and then they're going to buy something. That's whenever you're bundling.
Yeah, but you could do exactly what you're saying. So a lot of people do those tripwires where it's like a lead magnet on a Facebook ad, and then you download the lead magnet, or they might have a product for $7, and then they say, hey, while you're here, do you want this $15 offer? It's only available for the next 60 minutes. And if you don't buy it here now, you'll never see this offer again. And then you buy that one, and then there's another one for $130. And then, the sky's the limit. It could keep going, but probably not. But yeah, they probably have 2 or 3 rounds where they keep raising that. So yeah, that's another great way of doing it. And I know a lot of people that see success from that. And it all just depends on what you sell. If you sell high volume programs, or if you just want to sell a smaller amount, but sell lots of them. So when you sell smaller amounts like that, you need high volume traffic. But if you sell a more expensive product, you need less traffic. So it just depends what kind of model you want to go for.
So how do I rank on Google?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a juicy question. So essentially, there are 3 main areas or pillars that you need to touch on. You've got your technical SEO, you've got your keywords and your content, and your backlinks. So your technical SEO is not as scary as it sounds. It's like your website setup. So getting your speed right, making sure Google can find you, making sure that your website is responsive on all different device types. So that means that it renders well on a desktop, a mobile device, an iPad, etc. So they're the 3 main things with your website setup that you want to make sure that you're nailing. Then you want to move on to your keywords. So that's selecting the right keywords for your website. So you want to make sure that you are going for a traffic volume that suits how established you are as a business on Google and other search engines. Because when you're first starting out, you can't really go for high volume keywords. So you want to pick keywords that are right for where you are at your business level, and then you want to implement them in the content on your pages. And you need that content to be high quality. You can't just be pulling AI and stealing all this information. You need to actually have a human aspect as well. And you need to make sure you're including the appropriate features and benefits, et cetera, of whatever you're offering. And even depending on whether you're a product or service-based business or course business, having the right imagery or user-generated content to tackle that. So that's that component. You've got the keywords and content. And then the final area, which is an area that a lot of people seem to not look enough into. And it's basically backlinks. So it's links from other websites to yours. If you don't have any backlinks at all, it's very unlikely your ranking is going to move, because even though you've implemented those keywords in this, so actually I skipped a step. So you've got to make sure those keywords are implemented into 7 places on the back end of your website. So even if you do all that, nothing will really move until you start getting links from other websites to yours, because that's what's really going to move the needle. So an example would be getting listed on a directory or doing a guest blog or a podcast like I'm doing now. And then you may add my name to the show notes. And then that gives me a link from your website or from your podcasting host to my website. And that's going to drive my position up in the search engines. If you don't do the backlinking, you're probably not going to see any movement. So a lot of people just wing their SEO. So SEO, for those who don't know, is all the actions you take to rank first in Google. Search engine optimization is what it's called. So if you're just winging it and you're throwing in keywords to your website, it's not going to work. You need to get those backlinks implemented as well.
Okay. So I want this episode right here to rank very well. So right now, I'll tell you what I'm doing. You can tell me what else I need to do on top.
Yeah.
So this episode, it'll go on our website. We'll put the transcript on there as well. So it'll rank, or so it'll pull the keywords. The whole transcript will be on there. And then also we create a whole another page just for you, like a guest page and your own player on there and everything for each guest. And then we also throw the transcript on there. So when somebody goes to search you, that will be on the Google search engines. So what else can we do other than that right there, what else? Because I don't think we're doing any kind of backlinks or anything. What else can we do to get that higher?
So that's really awesome that you do that for your guests. I love that. Thank you. But so the first thing is, if you've got 2 bits of information that are exactly the same, they're going to be fighting for attention. Just so you know, I just wanted to point that out. So you won't be penalized, but they'll both be fighting for the first position. So you have to decide if you want to, and sometimes because of that, it's called canonicalization. And what Google will do is it will only show one of them in the actual search result, because it'll pick the one that is the most relevant, or the one that was created first, or the one that they think is like the mother of the copies.
Is that the Google Analytics when I look at my website? Is that what's gray in there? And then I usually have to check to make sure there's no issue in the link.
Yeah, or it's more like when you go, do you have Google Search Console? So a lot of people don't know what that one is, but Google Search Console is what controls a lot of the search engine optimization. So Google, if you think of it like Google Search Console is what's going in, and then analytics is what's coming out. So Search Console controls how you appear in Google, and it will show all the pages that are indexed, and it will show you if there's any problems with any of the pages that are indexed. So that's where you want to go to see if this issue is happening. In comparison, analytics is what shows you what the activities people are doing on your site, where they're finding you. So where they're finding you, what kind of people they are, if they're female, if they're male, if they are coming from email marketing or social media, if they are a certain age group, what countries they're coming from. So it's more analytics of what's happening. But so you need to use Google Search Console to see if there was any kind of indexing issues with that kind of duplicated content.
That's what the index, that's what the word I was trying to think of. That's the indexing link issue or something. I saw that come up.
Yeah, so it has to do with the indexing. So if there's an issue with the indexing, that could be the reason why, because the content is exactly the same. So it'll just pick one to index and it will not put the other one in Google. So the only way to get it, so you could get around that, it is a bit more technical, or you could link one page to the other if you wanted to. So then
I was going to say the website that I use actually, that can't say host, but has our podcast, actually does this for us. It creates the page for us for SEO.
Oh, is it?
Hopefully go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. Is it a separate website or the same website that they're on?
It's their website, but I had my own custom domain that's redirected to my own. I use their hosting.
Okay, but is it?
All right, I'm saying that wrong. I'm using my own hosting, but I'm using it. Pondpage.com is what it is. And then they have separate link that we can use for each guest. I might be saying this wrong.
No, so is it a separate domain? So is the website different, URL different?
Yeah, because I have it. It's BusinessConfessionsPod.
Okay, that's fine then. So this is okay. Don't even worry then. But it will be competing in some ways because the content's the same, but it's not like you're competing against yourself so much. You are, but you aren't directly in Google because it's on a different website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to make sure.
Yeah. So essentially what you want to do is you want to find some keywords within that copy that you think would get your audience or the keywords that you think your audience would be searching to find you. And you put them in a program like Sciberras or Keywords Everywhere. And when you're first starting out, you would go for keywords that have a lower volume, maybe between 0 and 50. So when I say low keyword volume, how many people are searching those keywords a month on Google? And you can use Sciberras to check that. You can use Keywords to check that, Everywhere to check that. And you want about a keyword volume of about 0 to 50 when you're first starting out. If you've been around for a bit longer, then you can start going higher than that because the keyword, without getting too technical, the keyword volume that you can pick depends on how many backlinks you've got. If you have more backlinks are trust factors from Google. So it's saying, okay, if you have one person linking to you, then you don't look that trustworthy to Google. If you had 20 people linking to you that are really high quality, then you look trustworthy to Google. So then they're like, okay, we're going to bump you above your competitors for the same keyword because you have more people linking to you. So we're going to trust you more because that's the signal that we're sending. So essentially you want to find those keywords, get them added. You want to get some backlinks added as well. So another thing that you could do is get your guests to even have a blog or something about it on their website and then link back to your website because that would get you some more exposure too. And that would also give you a backlink. But definitely getting a specific keyword or two for each particular podcast guest and adding those to the 7 places. So there's those places are like the header on the page, naming your image, that particular thing, the alt tag, the first 100 words on the page, the URL. You don't necessarily need to do the URL, but adding those, and then the title tag and meta description. So the title tag is the blue copy that comes up in the Google search results when you make a search, when you see a result. So the top, like the main headline, the blue one is the title tag and the underneath is the meta description. So adding it to those areas too, like the keyword, is great. So you want to add those keywords to those 7 places to make sure that you are, that you're telling Google that we want to be found for this keyword. We've got it in the places you're telling us to have it. So
you unpacked a lot of information right there.
I know I gave away a lot of free information. It wasn't places away, but I did.
Hey, that's why people come to listen to this. So we're actually doing blog posts as well. Should we be giving those to our guests too to post on their site and then redirect to us as well?
So I would get them to write their own unique copy if they're down for it. You can always give them the transcript and they can do something with it. But the thing is, if you have two bits of the same information on the web, they're probably going to be competing with each other unless you can go for different keywords. So what you could do is get them, obviously, tell them what keywords you're going for if you don't want them to go for the same one. So I would always give everything that you can to the guest and recommend that they put that transcript or whatever up on their website because then you're both getting more exposure from it. So we can add our own keywords to that. And it's also a way to just put some copy up without having to create more copy. It's repurposing copy, less work.
Yeah.
And then the more that you give the guest, the more that they have to promote you as a brand as well.
I'm trying to think how we did this. We use some like copy/AI stuff to come up with stuff. It's pretty good. And it creates multiple blogs for us. It creates 3 or 4 blogs in different contexts. A how-to blog, a informational article blog, things like that.
Also.
And I was thinking if we right now, we just started this actually. So right now we have a content schedule that's going out, push those like each week. And then so we can get engagement or more downloads each week and then carry that episode for longer versus lasting it the week of and then a spike in downloads and then a spike down and that since gone. We can prolong that growth over 6-7 weeks now with a newsletter, 4 different blogs, multiple clips, and then promote each week and then keep our downloads steadily growing on that end. Should I give 1 or 2 of those blog posts to maybe a guest to use then and have them, what else do I need to give to them? Will that counteract what I'm trying to do?
I think the best thing you could probably give them is the transcript. So then they could put up that conversation, maybe with a link to the podcast. I think that's probably going to be your best bet because sometimes, I guess not all the time, the content would be relevant to them anyway, whatever you're putting up. If you have talked about their particular topic. But what's going to be most relevant is the transcript, I think. So you could give them the other things and see if they could do something with them, but I think the transcript's going to be best. And then they can repurpose that as well into a blog or whatever short form, other things they might want to do, whether it be social media posts or even putting up a story. Actually, we need to take a little video story of our behind the scenes before we end too, so we don't forget.
Oh,
I keep doing all these podcasts and I'm like, don't forget, I need like a huge sign on butcher's paper or something on my wall. So that
take a picture, post it, do some kind of content. I'm so bad about putting up content.
It's hard. All those things were like before. So saying, hey, I'm about to jump on this podcast with XYZ. Or then after just saying, or photo the session, like all of that stuff helps build exposure. Then you can reshare each other's posts. Then they could put up a post to the transcript a week later if that goes up or whenever it's relevant in their content calendar. So yeah, there's so many different things. But I was listening to a podcast the other day and I was on the Content Queen podcast actually. And she was talking about this and she was like just saying how much they are trying to repurpose the same piece of podcast content over and over again because it benefits everyone and it gets more exposure. So it's not just, as you said, a spike and then it drops down.
Yeah, we're trying to come up with more ways to utilize a piece of content because I'm not the best at always posting things like that. I was actually going to even ask you this offline, but what's a good content? Do you help people with their content and like what to post and when to post and things like that?
So we don't do the organic, we used to, but we have people now that we recommend that we work a lot with. So we find that we work a lot with the same kind of other service-based businesses. And it works really well because they might manage all of our social media for all the brands that we help because they niche out in that area. So sometimes we actually do get that question a lot though, because I guess the people think that people like the content that we put out. So they're like, oh, how do you come up with these content ideas? And I talk a lot with Steph Taylor, who is a launch strategist, and she's amazing. So she always talks about, and a lot of course creators, even like Amy Porterfield will talk about this, and it's like that invisible bridge. So it's like where somebody is now to where they want to be where they need to be to make a purchase. So all the questions and objections that they would face from where they are now to where they would be if they were ready to buy, covering all that kind of information in content. So that if you can think, so many things could arise. So for example, if we were taking SEO as an example, so if I wanted someone to buy something that I was selling, then I would need to overcome things like it's too technical or it's going to take too long to implement or it's very complex or I don't need that for my business. So it's thinking, okay, these people are having these thoughts. What kind of content can I create that's going to counteract those thoughts or put them at ease, not counteract it, put them at ease and make them realize just how important it is.
That's a good perspective. I really enjoy that because I've had people tell me just posting stuff and I'm thinking there's got to be a little bit more to it than that. You got to talk to somebody.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And it's like you need to talk to people exactly where they're at. So the best thing that you can do is to jump on a call with, say, 10 people that are in your audience or as many as you can and have time for, and just ask them, have they ever considered buying XYZ or getting this service or buying this kind of program or implementing SEO, for example. And if you haven't, what's stopping you from doing that kind of thing? And then you could also want to ask them, like, what would make their perfect business? Because then you can say, basically, this is my product. I'm going to get you to where you want to go. And then, so say if they were set to say, I want to have if I'm using my own business as an example. So if they were to say, I want to have a business where I have more flexibility and freedom in my schedule. So then I would talk about the marketing in a way that I say SEO can give you the freedom and flexibility, and it's not as difficult as you think. Here is the framework for it. You just break it down into 3 simple steps, which is the website setup, the keywords and content, and the backlinks. And I could teach it to you in bite-sized pieces so that you don't get overwhelmed. So in that, I'm answering everything that they want. I'm overcoming their first objection, which is that it's too complex, but I'm overcoming their bigger objection, or I'm answering their biggest problem or desire, which is that they want to have a life that has more freedom and flexibility in that. Yeah, I always say jump on a call with people, just like we're doing now, and dig out the gold and find out why they're not buying and what they really want at the end. And that's how you create your content.
That's good. I'll start using that as well. You're growing Instagram followers using meta ads.
Yes. So meta ads have just launched a new feature. So historically, you could actually do this before in-app. So you could do a boosted post, which meta ads managers never, or Facebook ads managers will never recommend. That actually worked quite well. But so many people wanted a way to be able to grow their following within the actual ad manager. So essentially, they have created a new objective that allows you to be able to do that. So what is a new objective? A new area. So basically, you go into the ad manager, you click create a campaign, you select the traffic campaign objective, and then your conversion where you want to send them, you select website. So I have a YouTube tutorial on this I released last week on my channel. And basically it takes you through the entire setup. But yeah, you can test out all different creative, you can test out all different audiences, and you can basically, set up an ad now to build your following, because we all know that a huge following doesn't necessarily translate into sales, but a lot of people want it for vanity reasons or for social proof. So if you actually look at your insights on Instagram, go to a recent post and you look at how many people click through to your website, right? So it's probably going to say 1 or 2. If you need 100 people and if only 2 people out of every 100 buy, it's going to take you about a month to 2 months to even get 1 sale at that rate. Whereas if you implement SEO, you could be getting a couple of 100 people visiting a month just from 1 keyword. And then if you have multiple keywords across your site, you could be getting a lot of visitors, which would then translate into a lot more sales. And with SEO, you do the bulk of the work up front. And in social media, you're posting all the time. There's a lot more maintenance. So yes, this is an amazing feature. We love it. Our clients love it. But also you have to consider where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. So running conversion ads is probably going to get you more sales. Getting followers over time may help you increase sales, but it's a longer game. But it is good for social proof if you need social proof. E-com brands generally need a lot more followers than, say, service-based brands to convert those sales. So there is a time and a place and a reason people do that. And definitely recommend giving it a shot if you want to grow your following, because we've seen good results from it.
You've got pretty good blogs. I've read a few of them.
Oh, thank you.
Are you doing your copy? Do you hire that out?
No, I do it myself. And to be honest, I don't use AI much. I just write them myself. I just sit there and I'll just plug away. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I sometimes go to use AI, but then I just know the content that I want to write up already a lot of the time. And I know it probably sounds silly because most people just use AI. And a lot of people say to me, but you can spit it out in a few seconds. I'm like, I know, but I already know what I want to say because I know what gets results. And I've seen a lot of different examples and case studies. So most of the time, and you might see a little bit of the same thing in all different blogs, but that's because all the kind of content relates to each other when it comes to SEO and Facebook ads. And there's not a lot of duplication, but we write most of our blogs. And sometimes we might Google things or use AI for a little bit of inspiration, but generally they're all typed word by word.
They're good. You've got multiple links in there. Is that customer journey that you're trying to send that through? Is that all to email?
Yes. So we're trying to mostly get people to, so whenever you have any page on your website, essentially you want to push them further down the sales funnel, which is the same thing as pushing them further along the customer journey. So you always want to have a call to action on every page or something that they can click on and move to the next page toward the sale or towards the next step in your buyer journey. So for us, generally you'll see on our blogs, they go to the download and to download our freebie. So we'll always generally advertise one of our freebies within the actual content. And then that will get you onto our email list, and then we'll continue to email you. During promotional periods, such as when we're launching our SEO programs, for example, we may include a link to the webinar or a link to the sales page for the actual program as well.
Okay. I asked that from my own selfish interest, honestly.
I'm sure other people will find it helpful too.
It's been working, so I'll keep asking questions. What tools are you using to capture those emails?
So now I've just moved everything recently to Kajabi. So the reason I chose Kajabi is because I teach and it's best training program. I absolutely love Kajabi. It's like a one-stop shop. So they've got a podcasting section, they've got email campaign section, they've got a learning portal. I've moved my website across to there. So it's a bit more of an expensive platform, but it has everything all in one. So I don't need any integrations. So what I was finding was when I had 10 different pieces of software, I was duct taping everything together. And that was actually costing me more money and more stress because things would unplug from each other without warning. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to move everything to Kajabi. So I rebranded in October last year, and then I made a whole brand new website, and I just moved everything across, and I love it. I used to use Flowdesk, which is just all beautiful templates, but most people in our industry will use ActiveCampaign and what's the other one? I'm having a ConvertKit.
ConvertKit,
yeah. Yeah, that's in our industry. But then when it comes to e-commerce email software like Klaviyo is probably more popular.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out what I need to use for mine because we're not selling anything to anybody, but I know I need to start gaining emails, creating my email list as well. Because that's one thing I did not do in my other businesses is gain emails. And I would have had a huge, extensive email list if I would have gained emails. Yeah. But I'm not going to mess that about here. I've been playing around and figuring out and asking people what they use and everything. And everybody has had a similar story. If they have anything else, they went the whole route of doing one by one and then things breaking and Zap's not working or something like that. Yeah. And then they said they go to a single platform like Kajabi or School or Go High Level, I think is another one that does some kind of stuff like that. So that's good to hear that. Yeah.
And if you don't have all those pieces of software, you don't have to worry so much. So something like ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit or something could work really well for you. But it's only if you have all the other platforms or the other piece of tools and software that you need to plug it all together that becomes an issue. But I guess it's good to think ahead in the long term and think, okay, where do I foresee taking this? So I didn't necessarily think I was going to teach when I first created my website. Then I started teaching. So I had to find something that was more suitable. But my advice to everyone now would be to, think about the long term and where you want to go and just create it on that software. Yes, it might cost you $1,000 extra for that web software every year, but it's going to save you a whole bunch of heartache of moving everything over in the long term because that's going to cost you a lot more time and sanity.
Might force me to do something else and make another stream of income too. So
that's true. Yeah, that's another thing.
Have you been able to get as in depth with Kajabi, the email sequences? And what I mean by that is like the frameworks of if they opt out here or they do one thing, I'm able to send another action and then multiple actions there. Is it as versatile as let's say ActiveCampaign?
No, so I think ActiveCampaign would be a lot more built out, to be honest. But for what I need it for, it's definitely fine. And I'm on the lowest tier of Kajabi. So because I only have a few products, so I don't need a higher level. But if you were to jump to a higher level, there is a lot more automation. But they're really cool. Like they're very innovative companies. So we, as I guess people that have Kajabi, we can make suggestions to them all the time. And they're always bringing in new features. So they're going to bring in A/B testing soon, I think, into their email programs, which is really good because that's something that everyone wants. But it hasn't had it before. But it doesn't have a lot of necessarily things that ActiveCampaign does, but it has enough for the average person because the average person isn't getting that technical or that creative. They might just be sending out email blasts or wanting to do nurture sequences. And it definitely does that. But it definitely does a lot. It does enough. Like I can tag people. I can put people into segments. I can do all the things that I need to do in order to run my business. And I've been in marketing for over 15 years. So if that's enough to go off by, then
Yeah.
why not?
Let's think about it. And then I think that's doable. I think that's all. I like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think if you had a product-based business or something and you wanted to get a bit more personalized in the way that you approach things and then add in SMS marketing and stuff like that, then you would be looking at some of those bigger platforms. But yeah, it just depends. It's all about the long game.
How big you want to grow it.
Exactly. And if you have time and if you want to have staff, if you want to hire out someone to do all those emails and make it really creative and have all these different segments, that's fantastic. But if you're just, say, a mum who wants to just run the business and just do you and have enough time and make enough money to stay at home with your kids and pick them up from school, then your long game doesn't necessarily need that creative and complex email campaign. But if you plan on growing it and having this huge revenue stream from it, then go to the bigger software to start with.
I think you've convinced me on what I need to do then. I appreciate it.
Well, I can't wait to hear what you've decided.
So I have one more thing and I'm going to let you go. I've recently paid, I can't say recently, a little bit ago, have paid somebody in the past to learn a secret pertaining to, I can't really say secret, like I guess a practice on paid ads before. I know that you've rated paid ads. You're good at paid ads. What's one tip or secret that you could give us and share with us about paid ads?
Ooh, let me think. I feel like I need to make this juicy. Well, what's a good secret? I can give you a few tips that are like the biggest mistakes that people make. That's just going to change it really simply. So one of the biggest mistakes that we see people make is that they pick the wrong campaign objective. So it's like you want to get sales, but you're picking traffic as the campaign objective, which is like the first thing that you select. So you're immediately going wrong there because basically Meta will put people in different buckets based on the actions they take, based on all the data they've collected. So it knows who on Facebook and Instagram likes to click. It knows who likes to spend money. So if you're running a sales ad or like an ad to get leads, but you click traffic, Facebook's going to send all the people that like clicking buttons instead of sending you people that like to spend money. So if you want to if you want to make more sales, then you need to pick the exact campaign objective that you want. Sales. If you want to get leads, then you need to pick leads. So it's something so simple, but everyone just sees traffic and they go, wow, I've got 1 million people coming to my website. I'm getting lots of clicks, but those people that are clicking aren't spending. So it doesn't make any difference. So that's a big one. Another thing I see is a lot of people are still running kind of old school methods. So what I mean by that is they're running like 10 different ads and it's these super complex funnels. But so basically it's if someone looks at this ad, then we show them this ad and then they see that ad, then we show them the next one. The thing is, if you're like a small business with a small budget, you might only be getting like 100 people seeing the first level, then only 20 people might see the next one and then 10 see the next one. So basically the ad's just going to get repeated to the same people over and over again. So you don't need to run these complex funnels. If your product's say under $100 to $200, just run a straight you just want to run a straight sales campaign. Whereas if your product's or your service is over that amount, then you want to get them on your email list and start emailing them that way. So you want to either run some kind of promotional competition to get them on your email list if you're a product-based business. And if you're a service-based business, you could run some kind of promotion or do a lead magnet. So it's all about building up the email list. So usually you take one of those two routes when depending on where your product spend is. And then I like to test multiple creatives. So I'm giving you a few tips here. I know that I'm going overboard, but
Not a bad thing.
So testing and optimizing your ads is like the main thing that you need to do. So you need to test out multiple audiences, multiple creatives. So you want to test out multiple headlines, multiple imagery and versus video, lots of copy. Only test one thing per week. Otherwise you won't be able to work out what's working and what's not. So 1 week, I'm going to test all things, images and see which one works the best. Next week, I'm going to test different copy. If you're really good at managing things and variables, it'd be okay to test multiple stuff. But when you first start out, it's going to get really tricky. It's going to be tricky. So that's why I say test one thing, have a controlled experiment. Otherwise, you're going to get lost. testing and optimizing is your key to lowering your cost per acquisition and increasing your results. So yeah, hope that was helpful.
Are you doing the $1 a day kind of testing?
So you mean just putting down $1 a day?
Yeah, campaigns.
So I always set the budget at the top level. So the campaign level, I don't set it at the ad set level. So you want to give Meta complete control over the campaign. You don't want to control it yourself 90% of the time because they have all the data. They know where to send the money. If you're like controlling and putting $1 at each level, $1 against each ad set, then basically you're forcing money to each audience and each set of creative. Whereas if you put it at the top level, the campaign level, which some people might find this a bit techie, but there's 3 levels. So you can put it at the top level or the middle level. And if you put it at the top level, you're giving Meta more power to decide which generally works better and gets you higher results. So you're better off putting $5 at the campaign level than $1 at each 5 separate ad levels. Does that make sense?
It did. Yeah. So let's just say I have 25 collected campaigns, throwing $25 up there and then letting Meta figure out which one to feed the traffic to.
Exactly. Yeah. That's because they know where people are spending. And then what happens is it's like they turn a tap on. So if one audience is like showing a lot of engagement and they're starting to purchase, it's going to turn that tap on a little bit more. And then if one audience is showing no engagement, it's going to turn that tap off a little bit more. You don't want them to have the tap going at equal rates to all if no one's spending in 4 of the groups and they're spending in 1. You want the tap going to the one where getting the highest result.
You're giving some good information today.
Well, I'm glad you're finding it good. That's what I like. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do we need to send everybody? Where can they learn more about you?
If you want to find me, I am at the digitalexchange.co. So .co, not .com. I'm also on YouTube. So at The Digital Exchange, you can find me there, or Instagram is the digitalexchange.co. I've also just created 2 juicy freebies. So one is a traffic freebie, and that's at the digitalexchange.co/traffic. And basically what that'll do is it'll help you calculate how much traffic you need to hit your revenue goal so that you can break that down and use your analytics to work out how much traffic you're getting and then how much more you need. And then it helps you create an action plan on how to get there, on how to get the rest of that traffic to hit the revenue goal. That is actually going awesome on ads at the moment. I'm getting leads. People are downloading that for 80 cents. It's so good. And I've just created a new one that I haven't advertised yet on ads, and it's a Facebook. It's a Facebook ad starter guide. So basically it'll teach you, it'll help you work out if your business is ready for Meta ads or not before you've spent any money at all. And you can find that at the digitalexchange.co/.
What a hook. I like that. That's good. I'm gonna go check it out. Actually,
I really like it now.
Yeah, that's good. Nicki, I appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you. This has been a blast. I've loved it.
Hey, if you're still listening, hopefully you got some value out of this or amusement. Either way, I really appreciate you for listening. My goal with this podcast is to build something of value while also showing others that it's possible to do the same. And what I mean by that is I'm not perfect at this. I fumble, I stutter, and I just want to show that it's okay. If you've been putting something off, this is me telling you to go for it. So I need your help in growing this, and there's 2 main ways a podcast grows. 1 is through ratings and reviews, and 2 is through word of mouth. So I can only do it with your help. If you can leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as post this to your social, it doesn't grow without you. Thank you. Talk to you all next week.